Hello and welcome to IrishRacing.com. I'm your host Emma Nagle, and today I'm in Paddy Twomey's yard in Golden, County Tipperary. I've been lucky to be working for Paddy for the last number of months and gotten a special insight into how his yard runs. It's a yard in blistering form, operating at about a 32% strike rate in the last 21 days, and has already surpassed last year's number of winners at just the start of June. As we wind up for Royal Ascot, I'll get an insight into Paddy's team going there and some other exciting horses to look forward to throughout the year.
A very simple way of training. We have a small warm-up ring that we warm up on. We have a good wood chip gallop. It's 5 furlongs, and we just do 2 canters every day. Keep them in routine, keep them happy, and keep it simple. You want every season to be better than the previous one or better than one you've had before. Sometimes that's feasible, more times it's not. Sure, we train a lot of fillies, and we train horses to run in stakes races. So to win as many group races as you can, or listed races even. Preferably try and win a group 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever it is. But to get the horses to run to their best, at the best of their ability, to whatever their level is, to get the best out of them. And, we like competing in stakes races and group races, and particularly group 1. So if we can have horses be competitive in those, that makes the trainer happy. We have a nice team heading for Ascot this year, and we're looking forward to it. I put the headed up by 1 look in the Duke of Cambridge Stakes. She's been great this year. She won the Park Express comfortably and beats a high-class field. And she ran probably the race of her career to be second to Porta Fortuna, beating half a length at the Curragh and Guineas weekend in the Landweight Stud Stakes. So the Duke of Cambridge looks a good next fit for her. She's, improved plenty from 3 to 4. We're excited about her campaign. We also will bring Carmers for the Queen's Vase. He's done a little wrong. He ran a good race in Ballinrobe and he improved bundles in a short space of time to win the listed race at Nagle. So he'll go for the Queen's Vase, and I'm hoping he'll run a big race in it. We have Rogue Legend probably for the Windsor Castle on the Wednesday. He's been great. Rogue's Gallery's first horse here with us, and he was second on debut. He won again in Cork the next day, and he backed it up with an impressive weight carrying performance in Tipperary, 7 days later. So he has a high time farm number and looks like that's the ideal race for him. And
nice to get an owner like John Stewart into the yard as well.
Yeah, no, he's obviously going to run in New Silks and Ascot, and it's great to have international owners in Irish racing and in this yard in particular, and we're looking forward to Ascot.
Well, I want to look forward to. So, and Catalina Del Carpo, one who impressed plenty on her debut in Leopardstown, an exciting one for the Rebels Day.
Yeah, Catalina was very good. She got a TDN Rising Star in Leopardstown on debut. And we ran her back 17 days later in the Salsaville Stakes, where I thought she ran a great race. She learned loads. She had to get out from an unpromising position and quicken well to the line. The winner was a good winner on the day, but we were the only one to come out of the pack and chase her down, and I think she learned lots that day. I think the Ribblesdale is a perfect race for her up and trip, and I think I'm looking forward to taking her there.
So those are the main Ascot contenders. Will anything else get an entry across the week?
Pharaohs Freedom would have options in the King Edward Stakes and the Queen's Vase, and Admiral Churchill will have an entry in the Britannia Stakes.
Okay, we might chat about them in a little more detail later on. Moving on from that Royal Ascot team for a minute, the city of Memphis is a hugely exciting one to have in the yard. She made a huge impression on debut in Cork and went on to run a very good race behind Lake Victoria in the Irish 1000 Guineas.
Yeah, City of Memphis is a filly that we bought from Katie Walsh last year at the Breeze Ups, and she's been, from the get-go, she's shown talent. We decided not to run her as a 2-year-old, and she made her debut there in Cork in early May, I'd say late April, early May, and she was impressive. And we decided to go back and go for the Guineas, and she ran a great race. On her second start of her life to run to a rating of 106, I thought it was good. So we'd look at something like the Brownstown Stakes. I think they're in early July for her. I think she's a filly that hopefully can win her group race pretty soon, and I think she should be competitive at Group 1 now.
Another exciting one, and I suppose in the same silks, Purple Lily.
Purple Lily, she's in the Munster Oaks next weekend. She'll be in the Pretty Polly. I just would like to have a bit of ease in the ground. It wouldn't have to be soft, but just on the easy side of good before she'd run. She's ready to run and she's in great form, and I'm really looking forward to the second half of the year.
And even looking at her physically, she's nearly improved for the extra year.
Yeah, she's a different filly this year to last year. Last year she was, she looked well and she was able to do what she was doing. But over the winter she has transformed into a strong, powerful filly, and I think she can have a very good year.
Very good. And staying, I suppose, you mentioned the Munster Oaks, Bubblegum, another one entered there. Another new owners in the yard, the Australian Bloodstock, and she did it very easily on stable debut in Cork.
Yeah, it was great. They sent her, Australian Bloodstock sent her to us over the winter, and we were thrilled the way she won on stable debut in Cork in the Noblesse Stakes. And she's a fine filly. She's been in great form since, and I think it looks kind of a logical step to go back to Cork for the Munster Oaks. Same track, same trip, up in grade, obviously. I think she'll handle it well.
Very good. And I suppose another filly in kind of similar division, Beachwood, obviously came to the yard last year. And I suppose on her last start, she was very impressive running in Galway in the Oyster Stakes. Yeah,
Beachwood was a great addition last year. She improved every run, culminating in a pretty emphatic success in the Oyster Stakes in Galway. I think 1.5 miles is sort of her optimum trip. I think she probably had no problem getting 1.6 miles if she had to. But she's in the Munster Oaks, but I don't think she'll go there. She's in the Pretty Polly. She will start sort of, I would say, in 3 or 4 weeks' time. Again, just like a tiny bit of juice in the ground. It wouldn't have to be soft, but I just don't want it lightning quick for her. So ground will determine where she goes. Again, I think that she can be very competitive in decent group races, and I'm looking forward to the second half of the year with her.
Very good. And Magical Hope, another one. New owners to the yard, ran in Steve Weston's colours on Guineas weekend, and a great race, I suppose, on stable debut. Had good form in France, and you were happy with her debut in the car?
Yeah, I thought she ran a great race, stepping up there, taking on colts and geldings on her Irish and stable debut. I thought it was a good run. She ran the race to win it and maybe just got tired in the last half furlong. Getting beaten by a colt who'd been second to Los Angeles on his previous start, and he had plenty of running earlier in the campaign abroad, so he was a race fit rival. I think she'll improve a bundle for that, and I think she may run in the Munster Oaks in Cork next weekend. Steve, it's great to have a runner for Steve. He's a great supporter of Irish racing. He Porto Fortuna won the Landweight Stakes on the weekend as well, so he had a good weekend. But I think Magical Hope can definitely be competitive in group races in Ireland and England for the rest of the campaign.
Very good. You're very strong in that, I suppose, middle distance fillies division, and there's a few more to mention as well. Royal Entry was won. It was a fairly emphatic victory, which she came out of the stalls quite slowly in Cork, which she kind of tends to do. But he took his time, and she was very good on the day, I thought.
Yeah, Royal Entry, again, another nice addition this winter. We ran her first. We sort of hadn't a lot done with her, and we took her to Killarney for a mile fillies maiden, which she ran very well in. Met a filly with a high rating, and we would be short of our best trip, and she ran well. Backed her out quickly in Cork, and she was, like you say, emphatic the way she stood in the gate and gave them a lot of ground and was able to make it up and beat a very nice filly at Joseph O'Brien's comprehensively inside the last furlong. And she backed up again pretty quick and went to the north. And she was fourth, just chinned by Dallas Star in that 2 mile listed race there, His Majesty's Plate. So she's a filly that I think will have a good year. I think she'll get her black type, and she's tough, she's sound, and she's uncomplicated.
Mentioning His Majesty's Basar, Lida Mujaris also ran in that. Very, I suppose, consistent performer for Moyglair Stud. A good performance, I suppose, a long time off the track.
Yeah, she hadn't run since last year. We ran her in, she won the Lenaban last year in Roscommon, and I ran her back in to give thanks, and the ground was quick that night, and she just came out of the race. She was fine, but I didn't feel like running her again after it. We took her to Down Royal the other night, hoping for easier ground. It was good, but it was safe, good ground, and she ran a very good race. She was second to Goody Two Shoes, obviously. And I think she's a filly that can win her group race at sort of 1.5 miles, 1.6 miles. I think she stayed in 2 miles the other night. So I think she's a filly we'll have plenty of fun with. And I think with a small bit of ease in the ground, she can win a group 3 at least.
Competing in a different division, but Super Sox is another filly who looks massively exciting this year. She was a very good winner of the Platinum Stakes in Cork last campaign, and she was a big eye catcher when finishing 4th behind My Mate Alfie in the Group 3 and 8th on stakes last year as well. She must be one you're looking forward to getting out.
Super Sox is a filly we haven't ran yet this year and we're very excited about. She had a great 2024 campaign. She beat Gallon when she won her maiden. She raced against high class horses. She won the Platinum Stakes. She was placed in the Ferry Bridge at Tipperary and in the Renaissance Stakes in her last start, where she, showed us that she's the makings of a very good sprinter. We're hoping this year to start her off in the next 3 or 4 weeks, the Brownstown, Ballyogan, Renaissance, those type of races, and maybe travelling abroad later in the year. She's a high class filly who looks like she can make a top sprinter in the second half of the year.
Very good. And just staying on the fillies for another minute, Sholin gave you a lot of fun, I suppose, over the winter time, going to Cheltenham and on to Aintree again. She ran a good race, I thought, as well, up and down Royal, making her flat debut. But she's a filly, I suppose, you'll hold close to your hearts, whatever happens now after the fun she gave everyone.
Yeah, she's been great. She trained well through her younger years, and we thought that might be a good route to explore. Little, I was hoping we'd win a bumper. Little did I think that she'd go on and win a listed bumper and a graded bumper and give her owners the fun she gave them. And obviously Billy enjoyed riding winners at Ascot, at Aintree and Cheltenham, and she's been a revelation really in that sphere. Started her off in a 10 furlong maiden, which would be a big ask for a filly that stays 2 miles readily. But I thought she ran with great credit in Down Royal later night. I thought she learned loads. We'll step her up to 1.5 miles plus for her next race. So it'll be another maiden, and hopefully she can go and win it. And we'll look at stepping her up through the grades into winners' races or even into stakes company.
Any chance she might jump a hurdle?
One of her owners is very keen that she would, the other less so. The trainer does have a dual licence now, so it's not unconsidered.
The jockey also has a dual licence as well, I think, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. He get a dual licence to ride in those bumpers. I'm not sure how keen he is on the hurdles, but we'll see.
Okay, we'll move on to a few colts and geldings to talk about as well. Deep One, a very good 2-year-old, obviously missed last year, but came back, ran with credit in a tough ask in the Tattersall's Gold Cup, but he's training well.
Yeah, Deep One is a horse, obviously, was having a 2-year-old, and unfortunately for him, he missed all of last year, basically, with a small setback. The plan had been to run him earlier than the Gold Cup. We went to Chester for the Huxley and made a bit of an unforeseen incident that he just couldn't run. So we missed that and ended up, I said, the plan was to kind of go from there to the Gold Cup. So we said we'd start him in the Gold Cup rather than delaying his campaign starting anymore. It was a very good race, and on his first run for 500 days or something, he ran well for a long way and just got tired at the finish. I'd like to drop him back into sort of listed or Group 3 class now, win his listed or Group 3 and work forwards. But he's a horse that I think will have a good summer, and I think maybe even more so a good winter travelling internationally. I think he's a horse that could go to the Middle East for a lot of the good racing there through the winter into next spring. Having had no 3-year-old year, he'll be fresh and he'll be well. I think that he should have plenty to give.
Very good. Another one on the list, Corywood, actually runs tomorrow, recording this on the Wednesday, runs tomorrow Thursday, but he's shown, I suppose, improvement every run this year, I thought, so far, stepping up on trip tomorrow. Yeah,
Corywood's a nice horse. Glenn sent him to me after he bought him as a yearling. He ran with credit last year. He was third and then second twice, and I said to Glenn we'd leave him alone. He was a little bit weak as a 2-year-old up behind and down the front. He did well over the winter, and he won his maiden, he won his winner's race, he was second in a Tetrarch. And I think tomorrow night's race, the Glencairn stake up a furlong on trip, I think should see him to better effect again. I think the track, the trip, the whole lot should suit him, and I'm hoping he'll run a big race.
Very good. Arrowway, another one who runs tomorrow. He's a horse, I suppose he made his debut in a maiden and then stepped into a winner's race and showed massive improvement to win readily. Very athletic looking horse by Galloway. He's one you like as well?
Yeah, Arrow is a nice horse, a very uncomplicated horse to train very easily as a 2-year-old and through his 3-year-old season. Was very happy with his debut in Cork and thought that the racing in Roscommon was a suitable next race for him. He beat some pretty tasty winners there, but he did it pretty readily and pricked his ears at the line. He's come out of the race well, and I think he's going to be a nice horse. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. Any drop of rain that would fall, I think, would help him. He doesn't need slower ground, but he just doesn't want very, very fast ground, I think. I think he's a horse that can be competitive in, those sort of 3-year-old stakes races at that level, and has a bright future ahead of him, I think.
Good. King Coon made his comeback in Cork. He missed obviously last year as well. He was a very good 2-year-old, plenty of ability, and he's in to run on Friday in Fairyhouse.
Yeah, King Coon was a tremendous 2-year-old for his syndicate. He won 3 of his 4 races, and won plenty of big prizes and got a rating of 99. Unfortunately for them, he just missed the 3-year-old year. He just wasn't ever 100%. It never actually worked him. But we gelded him and sent him, gave him a bit of time off. And he's come back, and I thought he ran a very good race off a long layoff in the sprint in Cork in April. And he's in there in Fairyhouse in a winner's race on Friday night, and I think it's a good spot for him. He's training well, and I'd like to think he'd go close. Another
recent maiden winner, Pharaohs Freedom, was very impressed, I suppose, in Tipperary when he made his debut by Star Spangled Banner. He's a horse who could maybe step up the grades a bit now.
Yeah, Pharaohs Freedom is a horse that's trained well all season. He's been uncomplicated, does his work, eats, sleeps, trains. And I was very happy with the way, he was very green in the race, slow out the gates, and sort of green through the first part of the race, but very happy with the way he ran in Tipperary, and he finished out the race strong. I think he should improve plenty, and he would look one for the sort of extended staying division, 1.6 plus, for the second half of the year. And if he continued to improve, you couldn't rule out having him have an entry in something like an English Legend.
Very good. Admiral Churchill, the next one on my list. He was very impressive, I thought, winning in the stole for Charlie Bond Thoroughbreds, big supporter of the yard. What kind of race is he looking at for him now?
So Admiral Churchill was very happy with him this weekend, or last weekend in Leopardstown. He was, strong through the race, stepping up to a mile, having won at 7 furlongs to Limerick, running on quicker ground. It was softer in Limerick, and it was good ground there in the stole. And it was a tasty field, you had an Irish Lincoln winner in it and bits and pieces, and he took care of them readily. He's come out of the race well, he's 95 rated now. And he's a horse that, Charlie will, I'd say, be very keen on the idea of him running in York there, maybe at the Ypres Festival. Charlie loves to have runners in York, and he's a great supporter of the yard. So I think we'll be going through the English Heritage Handicaps looking for a suitable race on him.
Very good. I'm going to finish up with a couple of 2-year-olds. Now, we mentioned Rogue Legend already, but a couple of other recent runners you had. Dreamy Skies made her debut in the Sean Mulvine colours over the weekend. She ran with great credit, I suppose, just didn't jump quick enough from the stalls in the stole.
Yeah, she's a filly that I thought she'd actually jump out, but on the day, whatever stage fright, she just didn't manage to jump out that quick, and in the stall you can't give the field a head start, so she was sort of playing catch up for most of the race, and I thought she ran a very good race to come from last to be third, and I think she should progress plenty for that. I think a 6 furlong maiden at a more conventional track, I think, in the coming weeks she should, hopefully she will.
And another recent one, Amarillis, ran with credit on Games weekend in the Curran, what probably looked like a fairly hot maiden on the day.
Absolutely, a big filly, and I'd say she was a little bit taken off her feet again, typical of mine, and debut slowly away, and she ran well through the race, but the race was sort of happening away from her, and I think she'll leave that farm well behind when we see her again, probably stepped up to 7 furlong.
And looking around the 2-year-old yard, some big sires, exciting ones, I suppose. Maybe you don't rush them, you take your time with them, but plenty to look forward to, I suppose.
Yeah, it looks like we have a very nice bunch of 2-year-olds. They're sound, they're uncomplicated, they're doing everything I ask them to do, and typically I don't rush them, so whenever they're ready we'll go racing, but I would say there's a very nice bunch of horses.